the best there is at what I do. But what I do best isn't very nice.
Welcome to Modern Retro, episode 24. I am your host, Cuba. I am joined here in studio by the Starscream to my Megatron, the Beastman to my Skeletor, that Black Cat to my Gargamel, Roy.
What a fucking introduction.
You've been rehearsing that, man. Jesus.
He was upstairs taking a piss before we started recording. I was like, man, you were pissing. You were trying to think of some shit to say.
Yeah, did you just hear him giggling in the other room, like with the door closed? Going,
I mean, I did think about it while, maybe a little bit before I was pissing, but I didn't rehearse it.
Nice. I like it.
Hey, Roy.
I expect my intro to be just and equally amazing. I'm waiting, sir.
And there's Aaron.
You
wait your turn till next week. I don't. I'm gonna have to find sidekicks that are far away or something like that. Look, when you look at Roy, he's right here in front of me. We're inside Snake Mountain. He looks like fucking Beastman.
Oh, with the beard and everything.
I could have said Evil Lynn. Technically, she's Skeletor's second in command, but
yeah,
the Evil Lynn to my Skeletor. Why not? I'll throw that out there.
Sure.
Your
sexy.
rack's not as nice as Evil Lynn's.
I'm sexy.
I didn't get to do
no
my
chest,
hair.
even forget.
I didn't get to do my hair today because I got like a shaggy thing going on, Scoob.
Like Zoink Scoob.
You're the Scooby to our Shaggy.
No.
Fred.
Scrappy
There's
to
a
our
Fred
Hugh. He's definitely Scrappy dude.
But from the movie when he gets gigantic, but he's still a big dick. That face.
Yeah,
that face.
Scrappy.
Right here, right now, ladies and gents, spoilers. I am laying that out right as this episode is beginning.
Why, Cuba? What do we got going on today?
You'll find out after I give an appropriate spoiler warning. We are going to talk about Logan. We went to go see Logan last week. It's opening weekend. By the time this comes out, it would have been its second weekend in theaters. I hope you would have seen it by then if you're going to go see it. If you plan to see it and just haven't yet, just don't listen to this. Don't listen to this whole episode. Skip it and then come back after you watch Logan because we are not going to hold back. This is your spoiler warning right now.
Spoilers.
God damn.
All he can imagine is, fuck you, Logan. Fuck you. Don't try to kill me, Logan.
Actual line from the movie.
Yes.
We get to
Tell
see
me
some
that wasn't
sweary Xavier.
One more time, in case you skipped ahead for whatever freaking reason. Spoilers. Spoiler warnings from here till the episode ends.
Spoilers.
Proceed.
This movie brought
Do we have a
feels.
synopsis?
I did.
Okay, the movie Logan takes place in the year 2029, and a virus has...
It's after the follows a timeline of Days of Future Past, correct? That's what I read.
We're gonna get into it because I watched X-Men Apocalypse last night because it's the only X movie that I have not seen.
Okay.
So it's the missing piece of the puzzle for me timeline wise. And let me just say the timeline is fucking a big goddamn mess. So we're going to get to that after we talk about Logan, because Logan inevitably is going to get us into a conversation about the X-Men timeline in the movie franchise.
All right.
So it takes place in the not-too-distant future.
Can we read the thing from Rotten Tomatoes?
Okay, fine. Apparently I'm not good enough.
It's 2029, mutants are gone, or very nearly so, and
Wasn't I saying that?
An isolated, despondent Logan is drinking his days away in a hideout on a remote stretch of the Mexican border, picking up petty cash as a driver for hire. His companions in exile are the outcast Caliban and an ailing Professor X, whose singular mind is plagued by worsening seizures. But Logan's attempt to hide from the world and his legacy abruptly end when a mysterious woman appears with an urgent request that Logan shepherd an extraordinary young girl to safety. Soon the claws come out as Logan must face off against dark forces and villains from his own... Hold on, clicking more. From his own past. On a live-or-die mission. One that will set the time-worn warrior on a path towards fulfilling his destiny. That's some nice writing. Good job, Rotten Tomatoes.
So this movie is directed by James Mangold, who directed The Wolverine. Now, Roy, when he got here before we were recording, spoke about that. Mm-hmm. I think The Wolverine is a good movie, but it is handcuffed by not having an R rating. And this is James Mangold unchained in this movie, because Logan has an R rating. And it's finally, after 17 years, we're able to see what we should and always want to have seen from Wolverine.
Right off the bat.
Watching him slash and then cutting away, it's a cock tease. It's so unsatisfying.
It's gonna be so fucked up watching the actual, X1, 2.
Yeah, I want to go back. I haven't had a chance to. I want to go back and actually watch, because the first X-Men movie was good.
Yes,
it definitely kicked off the superhero movie franchise, and I have another point, but I'll come to that afterwards. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but away from Logan. But X1, he was really tame. X2, we were all super psyched because we saw that scene where he had his berserker rage for the first time, and we're like, that was fucking cool. But they don't show anything.
That was the second one we were put down the knives. He was like, I can't.
Yeah. But no, when the Strikers guys are attacking the mansion, and he just comes going, ah! And that right there became signature Wolverine, signature Hugh Jackman in that role. If Wolverine ever gets recast, that can't be done well.
I read that he has say now on who's going to become Wolverine.
Yeah, we'll see how long.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So this movie again was rated R, and they right off the bat show you we're not fucking around. This is a rated R movie.
The first 4 minutes, you know what I mean? Within 3 minutes, he's got claws in someone.
Yeah, right. So he's in his car sleeping, and some Mexican gangsters are trying to steal the rims off of his car. And he gets out and he's like, "You're gonna strip my fucking hubcaps? Knock it off!" And they shoot his white ass with a shotgun, and he just falls down.
They shoot. They shoot.
And he's like, "Guys, seriously!" And you can definitely tell he's a withered old Logan who's not healing quite right. But they piss him off again, and he just goes berserker on him, cuts off his arm, stabs someone straight in the face, and me and Cuba looked at each other and we're like, 17 years I've been waiting for this moment.
Was that the one when he came underneath the chin and you can see the blades poke? I think
he did that later. I think he did that a few times, but later in the movie
the first one was
more graphic.
Yeah, you saw him cut off the dude's arm, and you saw the arm fall off. But then he punches some guy square in the nose, but with the claws out, and it just goes straight through. And I was like, oh my god, yes. It's happening. It's happening.
And this movie was a good movie. Well, I'm gonna straight up say this was a film.
Yeah,
this was a. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, it's okay because I don't want the people listening. If obviously hopefully they have seen it, but there are going to be some people who may listen to this without having seen it before. But this isn't. We're glorifying the violence. And that is actually a really, really good part to this movie, because like you said, that we haven't seen it in so long. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. 17 years. But this is also just a very emotional movie.
Right. Definitely.
I did not expect like everything, and it's not just because it's like, ooh, this girl and Logan, and they kind of doing the Last of Us thing where it's like, you know, he's warming up and she's bonding to him in the end and whatnot. But like even when you see Logan and Professor X, like Xavier, you know, their thing, it's just like, dude, like they're
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
All the characters and character development scenes like had room to breathe, and you got like time to connect with their like emotional acting range, and it was fucking amazing.
Well, like I said,
Patrick Stewart
this movie
knocked it out of the fucking park.
This movie, like I said, is a film.
Yes.
It's not. I'm glad it's released now
not
because it's not a summer blockbuster. Things explain. There's a couple scenes where things explode, but it's not a Michael Bay movie.
Well, it's not. It's like you said. It's too bad. It should be like a film based on events that happen in a comic because it is not. Because it doesn't fit. It does not fit the title in my mind of comic book movie.
Well, and that's the point, and that's the great thing about it, and that's what harkens back to the original X-Men movies, the first two, is like that's where I think the X-Men franchise as a comic book movie franchise shines the best because they weren't in your face like superhero movies. The first two X-Men movies and this movie were very much grounded in reality. It felt like you're watching a regular movie. This movie, in this movie's case, it felt like an Oscar-nominated movie almost. Like it's like imagine Schindler's List with mutants. Like I also
read on
Logan
the DVD they're going
like.
to on the DVD they're going to include the entire movie in black and white as an option to watch.
That's kind of cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But that's where these X-Men movies shine when it's very much based in reality. And Logan was based in reality. The first two X-Men movies based in reality. That's why X3 sucked because it got like, besides having Michael Bay light as a director, it just went off the rails too much. X-Men Origins Wolverine sucked because that was like a made-for-DVD movie
Just
that
a
they
shit
decided to put on like the big screen.
Yeah.
The Wolverine had its hands tied by a PG-13 rating, but that was fairly grounded in reality. And there was barely any mutants in that. Besides Logan and that Snake Girl, I don't think there was like any mutants. So that was cool. That was
like an
that's
okay
what my
movie
point
until
I'm
the
getting
end.
at is that the end did suck too. But it's like when you're like watching it and this is a normal day. This is very realistic. And then a dude pops, 6-inch, 12-inch knives out of his hands. Another dude shoots red beams out of his eyes. But then everything goes back to normal. That is what is the cool thing about these movies. But like I said, this movie is beautiful. It hits you in the feels. It was full of fucking Easter eggs. I don't know. You guys aren't as big X-Men fans as I am. I picked up on a lot of the Easter eggs that I don't think you did, Roy, especially.
No, I don't follow the X-Men very closely.
One of the big Easter eggs, and I mean, I didn't get the Easter egg as what it was specifically pertaining to, but I like the way they explained the idea of how it worked. So in the future, how there's not too many mutants anymore, it was due to corporations basically figuring out genetically modified food and introducing some agent in the food to make it so we didn't have mutant genes anymore.
Yeah, that's how you look at it. It was the fucking legacy virus. I said it in the movie theater, and I was so fucking pumped when I went home and I researched it, and I was right that they don't actually ever say or call it the legacy virus, but the producers, the filmmakers, intended that, yes, this is the legacy virus.
But the legacy virus killed mutants that were alive. They didn't stop mutants from being born, did they?
Both.
Oh,
yeah, I think it attacked the X gene. And the original legacy virus, it would everybody was infected. If you were a mutant, it'd find your X gene and it would kill you. And I think if it didn't kill you, then it would render you sterile. But it was mostly fatal. And then it mutated. And like it would. If you're a human, you don't have the X gene, it would let you live. But then it either mutated or was modified, and then it started killing everybody.
Oh boy.
So, and that was like a big story arc for the X-Men around when the first X-Men movies were coming out. I think like late 90s, early 2000s. And I think that's when Colossus originally died. He sacrificed himself, I believe, to find a cure for the legacy virus. And that was fucking cool because, like I said, they don't say until the very end of the movie that it's a virus. They just say, I think there's like a newspaper clip. No new mutants have been born in 25 years. It's like, oh shit. It's like this is Children of Men shit right here. They just don't know why. And then at the very end, bad scientist guy says, we introduced this. I've developed the virus. It was controlled eugenics. Like random mutation is no longer a thing. We control the mutation. Yeah, and I'm like, that's legacy virus. It has to be the fucking legacy virus. And that's deep. That's a fucking deep. And then going back to what Aaron picked up on is there's a scene where Logan's helping a farmer and they're in a field and like he calls it super corn. And he was like, what the hell do people use this for? He's like, oh, it's in all the energy drinks and all those health drinks that people drink and stuff like that. So, so it's essentially it is. So they engineered the legacy virus and put it in high fructose corn syrup that goes into fucking everything. And it's like, but it's so understated. It's so
It is. It
subtle.
was like a side note that they just kind of mentioned in a conversation. You're like, fuck.
It really is. That's to me is what makes one of the small things, the little amounts of detail that make this movie so good. Because the average person, they obviously don't know what the legacy virus is.
Yeah, that
they're
would have
not
been
even picking up on
the plot, and like they had to take down the corporation if this was like run by the way Fox wanted to do it.
Right, exactly. But I mean, most people I don't even think would have put together the high fructose corn syrup thing. Because there was a cool Wolverine broke a dude's nose with a shotgun in that scene. People are like, that was cool. So
yeah, I picked up on that what Aaron's talking about, but I didn't know about the legacy virus.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that
it's
like a two-step.
Yeah.
It's a two-step thing. It's like you're like, oh wow, corporate espionage, a big brother contaminating and controlling us or whatever, and then then there's people like me going, comic book stuff.
And it adds on to what the movies did so well in the beginning was eugenics and talking about, these people should live, these people should die, and like the what do you call it?
The moral.
Like a civil rights issue.
Civil rights and racism and all that type of stuff. Like it just
it goes back. That's the core of X-Men.
Yeah,
they couldn't make comics about black people fighting for civil rights in the 60s, so they came up with the X-Men as an allegory for everybody that was fighting for civil rights.
Yeah, and it was done so well in the beginning because it was grounded in reality of like actual fights that could take place, and then it like transformed into a caricatured version of itself later on where it was like, oh, we're fighting against racism with robots. You're like, oh Jesus.
Hugh Jackman was great in this. His performance, so Logan, James Howlett, whatever you want to call him, he's going by James, his original name, which is interesting, but I guess makes sense because he does have all his memories back now at this point, and nobody would know that was his actual birth name because he's almost 200 years old at this point. Mm-hmm. So that's another pretty cool thing. Again, something else that they don't ever focus on. You just see it on his Uber license plate because he's like an Uber driver. It shows his name, James Howlett, and I'm like, that's fucking cool right there. But the adamantium in his body is poisoning him, so he's dying. Doesn't make sense to me because his healing factor is supposed to keep the adamantium poisoning at bay. But hey, movie, sure, whatever.
I don't know. I kind of liked it because it's almost like you eat tuna and the mercury content isn't going to kill you, but cumulatively it'll start fucking you up. Eat more and more tuna.
Yeah, but you don't have an accelerated healing factor.
I have a healing factor which gets rid of all the mercury in my system.
But your bones aren't laced in tuna.
Well, his are. His bones are laced in tuna, and it's fucking him up.
But he's great in this.
That's the worst superpower ever.
Tuna Man.
Oh,
you just extend your forearm and tuna starts shooting out of your fucking knuckles.
That is disgusting. I hate tuna.
One's got mayonnaise and one's got tuna.
Oh, dude, I'm
Oh.
gonna throw up. I hate tuna and mayonnaise.
Well, that's why you need to eat tuna steaks, not
Tuna
that.
steaks are great. I like tuna steaks.
Yeah.
That is not tuna fish.
What
in a
about
can.
what about ahi tuna?
That's I don't like any. I don't like it when it's in a can.
Oh, well, ahi's
It's
not in a can.
complete- I know-
Ahi
I
is
know.
raw, just seared.
Yes, I'll eat that. I've had that.
Okay.
But when it's in it, it's
Shut
dense.
No, we're talking about tuna. You brought it up, tuna man.
The tuna man.
But yeah, his performance is great because, like I said, he's dying. He's so grizzled. He's got like old scars that haven't healed, which it's fucking Wolverine. It heals up. It's supposed to heal up. And he's got a limp.
Yeah.
You know, and it made me. My first thought was Christian Bale in The Dark Knight Rises when he's got a limp for like 5 minutes and he puts like a cybernetic leg clamp on and it's gone for the rest of the movie.
Oh, that was such a bad.
And
movie.
I'm just like, but like Wolverine for Logan, he's got that limp the entire movie, and he takes some shit.
Well, not the entire movie, because once he takes that super juice,
That's just
Also, what you don't notice is like old Logan. Like you're looking at Hugh Jackman, and you're like, yeah, he's definitely aged when you see him, but that's not how he actually looks. So
no,
like,
he's an attractive, strapping man. He's
so
like,
you not
not
see
at
him
all
and
as
you're like,
old as he looks in that movie.
You're like, you look at him, he's got the fucking full beard and the white hair, and you're like, Jesus, he is old. He's an old man. This is definitely going to be his last movie for sure. But then you see him in the movie later, a clone of him that's much younger, which is more attuned to how he actually looks now, and you're like, fuck, he actually looks young. What am I thinking here? Jesus Christ. And that's where this movie is great. Like the CGI, you sent a link that said like CGI you may not have noticed in Logan. Holy shit. There was a lot of good CGI in this that like added to the movie but not overpowered it to the point where you noticed that it was there.
is that the link that I sent you?
Yeah.
And I said, "Yo, fuck Rogue One's bad CGI."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rogue One had good CGI.
It had great CGI for the entire movie, except for half of Tarkin and that one scene with Leia.
That's a debate for another day.
Nope.
So we have Charles Xavier, Patrick Stewart in this movie, also looking like a dried piece of turd, which he does not look like in real life.
He looks the same like he did in 1989.
He looks younger than he did in 1989.
He's got an actual healing factor. I think that this whole thing is just a movie about his life.
But he's great in the movie. He's living with Logan in Calabas, like in Mexico. Calaban, my bad.
Calabasas. That's a rich place in California.
I think Calabas is like a Star Wars swear from Rebels or something like that. But
Calabasa.
Calabasa Bass.
Calabasa man.
So and Xavier's got like a degenerative brain disorder, and he has these seizures that I don't know what they do. They pause time.
He sends out no, it doesn't pause.
Not time, but like he
sends out these crazy psychic waves that pretty much
they immobilize you.
Yeah, but
and you can't breathe.
Yeah,
you can't move.
It probably feels like being slowly crushed, because that's what it looked like. Everybody was kind of like, at least I thought, looked like they were slightly bleeding from the eyes and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was pretty fucked up.
And for some reason, Logan is less affected by this because his healing, I guess.
I would imagine it's somebody forcing the biggest, worst migraine you've ever had in your life into your mind times 100.
Well, it's got to be something about like it must impair all brain functions in some way, because the albino says the first time they show it happening, he's like, you know, I almost suffocated or something like that. He's like, I couldn't breathe.
Well, it probably ceases your brain functions, even the automatic ones.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
So
I should also say that Caliban is in Apocalypse. I don't think it's the same actor, but it's the same.
No, it's definitely not the same actor, but I saw that again. I saw that last night, and I'm like, that's a good callback. They definitely got a dude who looks, 40 years older, 50 years older than that guy. Mm-hmm. He doesn't talk in the third person anymore in Logan, but whatever.
I don't know who Caliban was, but I thought he was actually pretty good in this movie.
In the comics, he was one of the Morlocks.
See, again, don't know who a Morlock is. I'm assuming they live underground, though.
Yes, they were a band of mutants that live underground, but they were the more freaky mutants, like the ones with like physical deformities that couldn't hide their powers in society.
They just Morlock sounds like they live in a cave or underground, in a sewer.
Sound
You
like
know?
they're chewing on the power cables, Chewie. Oh, come on, that's funny. That's funny. I'm looking at you, Aaron. You're not even laughing.
Goddamn Minox.
And that's cool. Jesus, this. We don't need to tell you every scene in the movie. X-23 comes into it. Her name is Laura. She's X-23 in the shows the comic. And in the comic, she is the female clone of Wolverine. And here, she is part of a government experiment to create and control new mutant weapons. So she is part of Experiment X-23. And
So is she cloned? Is she injected? Is she a girl injected with the DNA of Wolverine, and that's why she has?
No, they're all born. They're not. None of them are clones. They're all children born of different DNA from various mutants.
Yes. Then how is it technically his daughter?
Because it's his DNA put into somebody else's womb. So
Okay.
that's why they said daughter.
Okay. So they did it in like an embryo stage, and they. Okay,
Right.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Like each one of those kids.
Well, I didn't know if they had like a little girl, and they were just like, "Here, have some Wolverine juice in your vein," and then all of a sudden she's got powers. Now, does she have the regenerative powers?
She has all of his powers.
Because we never saw her actually get hurt.
No, they did. They showed her cutting herself in the. You went to the bathroom. This kid pissed 4 times in an hour and a half. Your prostate is the
man.
size of this microphone.
Are you pregnant?
That is a pancake.
But yes, no, she has all of his powers, and that's why if she didn't have his healing factor, she wouldn't survive the adamantium bonding.
A very good point.
But yeah, there's a scene. The lady who tried to get Wolverine to bring them to like the safe zone. She like took a video of all the lab and everything on her phone, and there's one scene of X-23 cutting herself, and it just keeps like repeatedly, and it just instantly keeps healing and healing and healing. But yeah, she's got all Wolverine's powers. She's got to be like 8, 9, 10, something in that ballpark. She's very little. Doesn't speak for half the movie. Then speaks Spanish for a quarter of the movie, and then fully transitions to English.
Which I thought was a really good touch. I wasn't expecting it. I was like, oh, she's just going to be silent, and then
I love when
this chick's just going to speak only Spanish.
I love when she just like starts speaking Spanish and she's like to Wolverine. He's like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like,
I was half expecting you to turn to me, like nudge me and go, "What's she saying? What's she saying?"
I really wanted to.
I was gonna stab you in the fucking eyeball with my keys.
I wanted to ask Wolverine. I really wanted to ask you. I'd be like, dude, come on, man. I know it's usually Aaron that asks you, but tell me what she's saying.
It's easy enough to figure out by context.
No, listen, I work in a place that has nothing but Spanish workers in the warehouse, and we have to like transition between like in the halls when their lunchtime is and when like the other workers in the company go to the lunchroom. And when they're in the lunchroom, they are so loud, but I hear them talking, and it literally sounds like, and I'm like, how do you even make a language out of that? Like, I can understand it when it's slow, but when they go super fast, it just sounds like angry turkeys, and I don't know what's going on.
Look on Cuba's face.
So, she's fucking badass because she just rips dudes to shreds. She's got, instead of 3 claws, she's got 2. And then she's got one that comes out like of her feet.
She did a lot of her. They showed it twice, but she.
Did they show it twice?
Yeah, she did most of her own stunts, I guess, as well as Wolverine too.
Well, it's easy to throw them around when they're that small.
Your bones are bendy. Go pop back.
So, she's a badass character. They were very, very accurate. Like, stayed very true to her comic book.
They didn't
self,
hold back.
Pretty much.
They didn't hold back when it, like you said, when it came to throwing her around or bouncing her off walls or whatever it was. I mean, it looked, and it wasn't super obvious. Like when you, you can always tell a stunt actor, especially when it's like a kid,
right?
Because of how you're going to do that with an adult, even a really small one. This did look like her. It was very, very well done. So
the main antagonist that's chasing them the whole movie, is essentially Draco Malfoy with a with a metal hand. When I first saw the trailers, I thought it was Draco, but it's not. It's some other dude. I have no idea who it is. But his group, the Reavers, they are also from the X-Men comics, and they are also cybernetically enhanced in the comics.
But not mutants.
They're not mutants. They're humans that are cybernetically enhanced to hunt mutants. But in the comics, they're way more extreme because they're a product of the 90s. So, like, literally in the comics, one of the Reavers is he is a tank from the waist down. Like, it's a man on top, and then literally the bottom half of a small tank on the bottom. That's and I remember that because I used to have that action
was Johnny
figure.
5.
So just tank dick.
So, like, that was, like, all of them. They had, like, crazy cybernetic augmentations. This one, it was mostly like a couple of arms, maybe like some things in their heads or something. Nothing too crazy, and they don't explain it. They don't explain it. That's what I love about this movie. They don't explain shit. So you're sitting here going, but guys, what about the X-Men? They're fucking dead. They're dead.
They're
all
fucking
of them,
dead, kid.
They're fucking dead, and they don't tell you what happened. All they tell you about the fate. Yeah, I was gonna say, should we tell them? No, we already gave a spoiler warning. Fuck it, we're gonna talk about everything. Everything. The only thing that you get to the fate of the X-Men is that a year prior to the events, so Xavier has another one of these seizures in the hotel while Wolverine's away, and he comes back to the hotel, and everything starts going fucking crazy. But the Reavers are also there.
Yeah,
so
his mind is designated a weapon of mass destruction.
Yes, that
Which
was cool.
leads to probably my favorite scene in the entire movie when Wolverine is struggling against the psychic waves or whatever the hell it was.
Right, he's got to go up like 14 floors. Like, he's got to make it to the elevator, get in there, press the buttons, go up in the elevator, crawl over to the room.
But it only hurts people with or
no,
animals.
it's everybody.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But it doesn't hurt. Like, it doesn't stop elevators or machinery. That's why it has to do with your mind.
Right. Yeah.
It's not freezing time or anything like that.
Yeah.
So when he's using his claws to kind of walk down the hall, trying to pull himself along, and then he kills everybody in the room, but in slow motion.
Super slow motion, yeah.
Which they even show that one point where the guy has a gun, he's outside the door, and he like shifts his eyes slightly, and you see how scared he is. And Wolverine's just like, gonna kill you, buddy.
I even think he starts to like slowly list towards him, but yeah, Logan just like right in the fucking temples too.
That really makes you think about, holy shit, it wouldn't be hard to die. Like, if something just pushed... I don't know, that scene fucked me up for some reason. It just did. In a weird existential way, I was like, holy crap, it's that easy just to get something metal rammed into your skull and then you're dead. Like,
and it wasn't even that fast, too. It's just like, and that's the cool thing about Wolverine's claws, the adamantium, is that, no matter how much he cuts, no matter how old they are still, like, the sharpest. They do not dull. And it's got to be just like butter, putting his fist through butter. I would imagine.
He just
all the time.
slowly pressed his fist through that guy's head.
That's the same scene where he's killing these dudes. And we got the scene from the Red Band trailer where he puts his fist under the guy's chin and they come out the top of his head.
Yeah,
that was cool.
The cool thing about that scene too is like the seizure portion, how it was shaking the entire scene.
That was trippy, yeah.
I
would not have liked to have seen that in 3D.
I saw an interview where the way they did that was they were shaking the camera so that the film, had that shaky effect, and then they ran it through a stabilizer, so it stabilized the film but still had the shaky, like, wobbly effect to it.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah, so he injects Chuck with the serum, stops the seizure, and then they got to get the fuck out of there. And there's
everybody's fucked up.
Everybody, yeah, the whole, and that's the cool thing. They're listed. They're in a car, and you hear a news report on the radio talking about the thing that happened in the casino because they were staying in like Caesar's Palace or something like that, and they say it's similar to an event last year that happened in Westchester, which is where the X Mansion is. Mm-hmm. And they said an event in Westchester the previous year where several people were injured in several. It was like hundreds of people injured, and several mutants died, several of whom were part of the famous X, and then they turned the radio off. and you're like, oh shit!
So that was only
Charles killed the fucking X-Men.
So that was only a year ago?
Yeah, it was only a year prior to these events.
Because if I remember correctly, I should have read up on it, but if I remember correctly, in the comic, it was actually Wolverine who killed all the X-Men.
Right.
It was because he was being controlled. Who was he being controlled by?
It was Mysterio.
Mysterio.
Yeah. This movie is very loosely, and I put like super fucking loosely, based on the Old Man Logan comic series. Honestly, the only things they really have in common is an old Wolverine.
Yeah, I know, but I just thought it was. But
yeah, in that comic, essentially, it's supervillains conquer the United States. They defeat most of the heroes, and I think it's something like 20, 30 supervillains attack the X-Mansion, and half of them aren't even X-Men villains. It's just all villains have all banded together now, and Mysterio, using his illusion powers or whatever the hell Mysterio does, made Logan think that all the X-Men, everybody in the mansion, was a bad guy, so he slaughtered them all.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, they took that, but in the movie, it's Charles Xavier that kills his own X-Men, and I guess
which is way more tragic.
It is, and he must be given him pills or something like that, because he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember till later on in the movie, where he starts to remember, and then Wolverine clone kills him, and that was fucking shocking.
Yeah.
So the next bad guy is, I guess, X-24 they call it, and it is a full-sized, full-grown clone of a young Wolverine.
Which is weird, because somebody said something, the doctor said something about, we tried to nurture the rage with the children.
Yeah.
But you can't nurture rage. You can only be, it's like in your genes or something.
We have bread or something.
Yeah, it's genetic.
Yeah.
So Wolverine is just that angry because it's in his genes?
Well, I mean, he's got he's sort of, part of his power is kind of being primal, you know?
Yeah.
So, and who knows, maybe they don't give you any details into this Wolverine clone. I don't know if they gave him all of Wolverine's memories and then blocked him, or only the memories of when he was in the wild after the Weapon X program or something like that. But he was fucking going crazy. So Charles Xavier is saying I remember I did a terrible thing, and he goes, Logan?
He goes, this was the best day I've had, but I don't deserve it.
Yeah, you feel so sad. Then he gets stabbed in the fucking chest, and you're like,
he did die like a bitch. I felt so bad.
What's he gonna do? He's like a 100-year-old man who can't walk.
I felt bad for the family. Fuck
that's right.
Xavier. This nice family, like a kid and a wife and husband. The husband's going to fix the water so they can shower in the morning, and then all of a sudden you just see the kid dead on the floor, and he's like, "Oh," I'm like, "I just got to know him." Oh,
you're not gonna kill the family. And this is just after following a scene, by the way, where they. Just a little showing how this movie can manipulate you, because just prior to this, there was a scene where the family's truck gets driven off the road by these weird automatic truck things, and Xavier is able to fine tune. It's the only time I think we've actually seen it happen in the entire movie was he was able to actually purposefully use his telepathic powers,
right? Because they have horses
to calm these horses that came out of this trailer.
Yeah,
and it's that was so good. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe he can come back from this. And then in the very next scene, he's just what?
Oh, it was a couple scenes later, but yeah, I mean, they definitely set it up, and it's definitely. But Wolverine's reaction to it, Logan's reaction to Charles' death, was great. And then what makes it even more tragic is that he can't defeat his clone. Yeah. His clone rips his fucking ass apart. Yeah. Literally, maybe not literally his ass, but I mean, he gets it's just fucking damn.
Yeah, when he goes into the doctor's office and you just see his guts wide open, you're like, holy shit, man.
Right, it didn't heal, and you're like, oh fuck.
I love the way when Logan realizes it was his clone, you know what I mean, or him, and he ran back into the house upstairs and he found Charles, and he was he's
like, it wasn't me.
Yeah, he kept on saying it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. Dude, I'm telling you, he has to be Joel. He has to be Joel in a Last of Us movie because the way he was holding him and running down the stairs. If you
Baby, please.
You've played The Last of Us. You know what that last scene is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be
to.
Joel for sure. Like he,
Like,
they basically.
Do we
ripped
even
off
need
that
a Last of Us movie? I mean, this movie was like the last. Now I'm gonna go replay The Last of Us. I'm gonna be pissed that I can't take out Joel's claws.
Joel don't need claws. Could have used a healing factor though.
One thing also,
Now, this
for the movie too, like we obviously knew this was going to be Hugh Jackman's last movie, pretty much for Wolverine or his send off, but. I guess when they went for the screening and like all the celebrities show up for the red carpet and everything, Patrick Stewart, he watched the movie and he saw the movie and he's basically like, this movie is so good, there's no better way for Professor Xavier to go out, so this is going to be my last movie too. And you're just like, that's a testament to how fucking good this movie was that it got Xavier to quit.
See, if they could make superhero movies like, and they won't do it, but if they could make future X-Men movies in this vein, I would become a fan.
Well, now you see James Mangold, he knocked this out of the park. Now they are going to make more X-Men movies. They're probably going to pick up from Apocalypse because it only makes sense to go with the younger cast for now. But they also said they have plans for X-23, Laura, and these kids that escaped. They haven't officially announced a movie for her yet, or if she'll actually like take over fully for being Wolverine going on. But now they still, like they always have, two separate points in the timeline that they can go from. They can have movies continuing from Apocalypse and with this younger cast, and then they have these even younger kids where they can probably, let's say the let's call it the First Class timeline era. That will be their PG-13 movies. These movies that take place after Logan, dealing with Laura and these kids, those will be their rated R movies.
All I kept on thinking when I was like, dude, I feel like they were the Lost Boys from the movie Hook for some reason. Like they had like
especially when like
the heavy
the
set.
fat kid was running. Was like,
yeah, they had the heavy
why
set black
turn into a
kid.
ball?
Thud roll. Bang-a-ram.
Bang-a-rang.
Did they say bang-a-ram?
No,
it's rang.
Bang-a-rang. How fucking dare you? How I am offended.
Podcast over.
But James Mangold, rumors is that he is going to direct the next movie with her.
He should
continuing
direct-
her story.
This is what I hate. You get movies like Transformers, which is all Michael Bay or whatever, a shitty director, shitty everything, and they give him that. And he and what is it, 4 Transformer movies that he was at the helm of?
I think he directed 2 of them, maybe 3 of them, and only executive produced the other 2. But it looks like he directed them.
Yeah, exactly. So his influence is there. You know what I mean? They need to give, was it Maro? What do you say, Maro?
Dude, this director
Mangold?
is James Mangold, yeah.
Mangold. They need to give him, just put him at the helm of every fucking X-Men movie from now on.
Well, that's what we were saying about Bryan Singer, and I keep going back to Apocalypse because I watched that last night. I didn't like that movie. I almost said at all. There was aspects that I liked, but it felt like X-Men The Last Stand version 2.
Yeah.
Like the slightly better version of X-Men The Last Stand. It did not at all feel like Bryan Singer directed.
Yeah, I told
X-Men
you, like
Apocalypse.
the first X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past was grounded in some form of reality that you could connect with, and Apocalypse didn't have that. The only scenes that were really worth watching in that was like the Magneto scenes, and that was it. Like when it,
Right.
And
Yeah,
it
the
grounded
Magneto
you in like a reality that was tragic, and you were like, "This is where X-Men needs to be, not taking out the world and launching all the nukes into space. Like that's stupid."
Yeah, that movie could have been so much better, and half of it was, 3/4 of it was Apocalypse not doing anything. Like nobody was doing anything in that fucking movie until the last battle. I was like, what? Like, not only is this just, it starts off, it felt like a comic book movie,
I was gonna
but
say,
not a good comic book movie.
What they should do is they should go back, give Manigold let him make a new Apocalypse movie, right? To overwrite that, and the one that you just watched can be relegated to one of the stories that happened in the comic books that happened in this new world of Logan that the girl Laura was reading. Mindfuck them. The whole thing's a mess anyways.
That would be good. And Wolverine showing up in an X-Men Apocalypse, that didn't make any sense. So I'm sitting there watching X-Men Apocalypse, and Cyclops and Jean Grey and Nightcrawler release Logan from, like, just after he has his claws, I guess, put in. Like, in the Weapon X, he's got, like, the comic book, he's, like, half naked, he's got the thing on his head, just like in the comics.
Really?
Yeah, and it's cool. It's like, oh, he looks just like he did in Weapon X in the comics. But, like, wait a minute. I'm like, are they really in Alkali Lake? Did they just go there? And then second of all, how do none of these characters remember meeting each other in the first X-Men movie? Because that was the first time they met. And then I watched Apocalypse, through to the end, and it ends, and I go, wait a minute, X-Men 2, that can't happen anymore. This movie fucked that up. Days of Future Past only erased The Last Stand. Apocalypse erased all three of the original movies. So there's a new timeline now, because at the very end of Days of Future Past, we see the original Jean Grey, Scott, and everybody, and they already know Wolverine, and they're all like, hey, Wolverine, what's up? What's going on? And he's like, nothing. Oh, shit. Everything's back to normal. But the events to how they met have got to be fundamentally changed. They just caused a huge fucking time paradox in their own fucking universe with Apocalypse.
That's all I can think of is that noise.
It's fucked up. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. Because it ends with Mystique leading the X-Men. Cyclops and Jean Grey are new, but Jean Grey used the Phoenix Force sort of for the first time. Nobody mentions Apocalypse in the first couple of movies. The X-Men were... They did. I'm pissed. I'm like, not only was this a fucking shitty movie, this was not a good movie. It is better than The Last Stand, but you just fucked up the timeline that you're so goddamn fucking trying so hard to make good.
So it never happened. That was a story that was concocted in one of the little comics that Laura was reading.
Oh, God, I hope so.
That's just,
the Danger Room concoction.
Back to Logan. So one thing I did not like about this movie, and I don't know if you guys agree with me. Oh, yeah. I don't have much to complain about.
I was going to say, are we getting into nitpick territory?
A little nitpick, a little not nitpick. I didn't like the Wolverine clone as the main bad guy.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, because I feel it got you with, oh shit, Xavier died thinking Logan killed him. But then you go, well, Xavier knows Logan wouldn't do that. So maybe that wasn't his final thought. Maybe it was. I don't know how fast. He died fast, but not that fast. Either way, I didn't like the Wolverine clone because pulling so carefully from the comics, like they have been doing throughout this entire movie, they had so many other options. They could have done Logan's biological son, which is like called Draken or something. It's his son that he had in Japan that he didn't know about till like he was like a full grown adult. His claws were different, but he still had all of Wolverine's power. And he looked enough like Wolverine in the comics that he used to wear Wolverine's old orange and brown jumpsuit, and it would fool people, and then he would kill them.
Yeah, but see, the problem with that is that with adding in a whole new storyline, that adds in a whole new storyline where you need to flesh out. First off, you need to explain. And you can't just say, "Oh, this is it's my son from Japan. I fucked some bra." Wait, what? Like
they don't need to explain because his sword from the Wolverine was in his room, so that happened.
Okay, but you would still have to explain it in this movie. You would still have to.
You went to Japan, remember?
But you don't have to explain it with a clone.
I guess so.
They
could have gone.
It also didn't bother me because. We're watching this movie going, oh man, I wish I had seen like the younger Wolverine doing this, and they brought the younger Wolverine kind of in to
that's cool. Yeah, we sort of see the younger Wolverine.
The allegory of like seeing the old man and the young man contrasting. I don't know. I liked it. Didn't bother me.
Also, like I said, I didn't like it. That's really my biggest thing with the movie. What they also could have done instead, and this is probably even the better way to go, instead of the clone, was make it Sabretooth. He never died.
Yeah, that would have been.
We never saw his death. That would have been a lot better. That would have been the final confrontation between Wolverine and Sabretooth.
Yeah. But there is something that I did like about the new Logan versus clone Wolverine. It had a very Terminator feel to it, which really appealed to me in that sense. So, I mean,
yeah.
I did really like that. I mean, yeah, Sabretooth would have been really cool, too. But, I don't know, they were just something, they were like, all right, we have to unleash this Terminator. That's what it was. I mean, he didn't run. The clone didn't run. He didn't speak. Nothing. He just plodded forward and just killed everything.
Right.
He was a fucking Terminator.
He got shot, turned his head sharply to the left, and then turned back slowly. It was fantastic.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Now, Sabretooth. Did Sabretooth have adamantium too?
In the comics, he did. In the movies, he didn't, because he didn't. His healing factor wasn't strong enough. He wouldn't survive it.
Oh, but he does have the healing factor.
Yeah. He has the healing factor, and then he's got not Wolverine claws, but he's got animal claws.
Coke
yeah.
nails.
he's got retractable coke nails.
He was the best he ever got was in the 80s. That was his popularity height.
But no, that would have been cool. That would have been cool to use that. And that's my biggest complaint about this movie. I can't think of anything else that I really disliked. So we'll just get to the end there. Wolverine, he sacrifices himself in the final fight with the other Wolverine. Oh, that brings me to the other thing I didn't like. I just remembered. Thank you, Roy. And you looking at me blankly. So there's the final fight between Old Man Logan and Terminator Logan. And Terminator Logan is once again just fucking ripping him up. And so he's got an adamantium bullet that he's kept with him this whole time. And Caliban even says, like, oh, if you're going to blow your brains out, don't do it in the house because I have just mop these floors and stuff like that. And so Laura, she grabs the gun from one of the Reavers, puts in that adamantium bullet, and blows half the face off of clone Wolverine and kills him. Logan dies from his injuries shortly thereafter because he's impaled on a tree stump or something like that. That whole scene gives you the feels right there. It's like, oh fuck yeah! But that was a good way. That was a good way to go out. That was a great fucking ending. But what I did not like, and again another major continuity error in this movie, is the adamantium bullet should not have done jack shit. Because in Wolverine. In X-Men Origins Wolverine, Stryker shoots him with the adamantium bullet, and that's what causes the amnesia.
Was it an adamantium bullet?
Yes, he specifically says 20 times it's an adamantium bullet. And it just...
Yeah, but we all acknowledge
when he shoots Wolverine in the head, it just goes...
Yeah, but this...
It was also the caliber, though. The caliber was fucking huge.
It doesn't matter!
She held up that round. That round was longer than her finger.
Adamantium cannot destroy adamantium. That is how it...
Maybe it had an exploding adamantium tip.
It had a thermite tip, hollow point thermite.
Exactly.
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
I understand that there's
maybe it was covered in jet fuel.
I understand there's got to be some sort of way to defeat the undefeatable villain, but I'm just like, come on.
Well, even so, wouldn't he just regenerate?
Not when the brain's gone.
That doesn't work. Well, we've seen that. Oh, that's usually a comic thing. We've seen Wolverine come back from like everything.
Well, he needs his brain.
Yeah, but we've seen him be like crushed, like rolled over. You know what I'm saying? With a steamroller.
Yeah, the Punisher ran him over with a steamroller after he shut his nuts off. But his adamantium would have protected the brain from getting crushed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that works. That works.
So that's another nitpick thing where she blew his head off, and I went, "Come on!"
The reason I liked it is because I love the fucking noise they chose I remember it so clearly. It was just like a cling, like it was like the perfect headshot when you have a metal skull sound. It was perfect.
I think
and they even
this-
had like
I think the movie
You
should
heard
have ended in a pneumatic press factory, like the end of Terminator 1, and Wolverine crawling.
His eye slowly turns off.
Just pops out.
he did have cameras in his eyes. Remember?
Oh,
They
shit,
were
he did,
watching.
yeah.
They were watching. That was fucking weird. Such a good movie. And then in that very last scene after Logan dies, there's the cross, and then she takes it and she walks back and she turns the cross sideways so it makes an X.
That hit me in the feels. I was like, oh.
I know.
That was good. Yeah.
And then it ended.
Yeah.
I was like, "This is it."
Yep.
And
Nothing
no
more,
after scene credits.
Which was a good choice.
It really was. Like he said, like the director said, they're supposed to be a treat, but now everybody just expects it.
Yes.
And he was, to my knowledge, there's no movie yet coming after this one, and those are just advertised. They're trailers for other movies.
That was that's why the Deadpool thing in the beginning before.
Right, and that was good. I
enough.
wonder if that's going to be a new movie thing. Is like doing a front stinger now or something. I don't know. Is that what it's called? A front stinger? Or is that a sexual term?
Yeah, do we want to talk about the Deadpool thing? Because basically it was, paying homage to Deadpool, because without Deadpool we wouldn't have got to this point with Wolverine and, like, having them take a risk with an R-rated actual film. But with Deadpool, they put that in the beginning of the movie. He's going to see Deadpool in theaters, and he sees, like, someone being mugged, runs to a phone
he was going
booth.
to see
Logan.
Logan.
See Logan.
Yeah, he was going to see Logan. Runs into a phone booth so he can transform into his costume.
And the
go save
John Williams Superman music is playing. It's fucking awesome.
You see his bare ass
takes
like,
so
press
long.
against the fucking window, and like Nathan Summers is coming soon written on the freaking phone booth, but it's like Cummings the gross way. And
I should hear coming the gross way.
the only reference I didn't get, because that little, it was like a Pixar short almost, but so they had like all these little Easter eggs in that little short.
There's like a Firefly poster in the background.
Yeah, I want to know what the Firefly thing is. Like, is Nathan Fillion possibly going to be in the new?
I think
Deadpool?
he's in X-Force. I think.
Oh, really?
No. I think one of the rumors is that he's going to be Cable.
Nathan Fillion?
That's a rumor.
Oh.
I don't see him as Cable, but
No.
because Cable's not as fun and charismatic.
No,
as
you definitely need
Nathan
like the
Fillion.
guy from Hellboy to play Cable. Like, you need that.
No, you
Yeah, that's a good point.
need that dude from Avatar, the general guy. He looks like Cable. You wouldn't even need to
The
use
guy
makeup
from,
on him.
From Terra Nova? That guy? Is it
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. All you need to do is give him a scar over his eye and replace his arm with a metal arm.
Yeah, but
He's
he needs to
Cable.
be
Yeah.
bigger. I definitely vote for the Hellboy dude.
Nah, he's too ugly.
Was he the guy who played Merv in Sin City?
Yeah.
No, that was a different dude. That was a
That
different
was
dude.
Ron
was-
Perlman?
Yeah, that was Ron Perlman, the one from
No,
Iron
Ron
Man
Perlman
2.
wasn't in Sin City.
No.
I can't think of Mickey Rourke.
Mickey
It was
Rourke, thank you.
Rourke,
I
yeah.
always fuck those two up for some reason. Always.
They're both very ugly men.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good. That was funny. That was a funny front stinger for that. And I'm sure I haven't looked up what other Easter eggs were in that, but there was tons of graffiti in that scene in that alleyway. I'm sure all of it meant something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This.
Yeah, you still
This
need to see
whole-
Deadpool. Am I
so
right,
good.
Cuba? Am I fucking
I
right?
still need to see Deadpool.
So
If I wasn't doing this tonight, I would watch Deadpool tonight. But
You disgust us.
like I said, I watched X-Men Apocalypse last night so that I can be up to date with the timeline. Because Deadpool, they didn't want to, because the studio was unsure about it. They didn't want to like embed it too much into the X universe. Yeah, I know. Colossus shows up and everything, so there's that connection. But I'm sure there will be more connections. What I actually read is that, so we got Deadpool 2 coming out. I would not be surprised if that's ingrained a little more into the Fox X-Men movie universe. And then we're getting an X-Force movie. And they're saying that Deadpool is going to be in the X-Force movie, essentially making it Deadpool 3.
X-Force is like the Black Ops version of the X-Men, right?
Yeah.
And
they don't mind killing and all that.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
They're saying, their rumor is that one might be rated R as well.
It has to be at this point. It just, if they want to... How well did Logan do?
It did
So
like
88 million?
86 something, yeah.
How did it do in numbers compared to Apocalypse?
Oh, I'm pretty sure, I haven't looked, but I'm sure it blew it out of the water.
You know, because nowadays 80 million doesn't sound like it's that. You know what I mean?
Opening weekend, off season.
I know. I know it's a huge amount of money, but studios now, they expect so much. You know what I mean? If you're not a $300 million movie,
it did better than they expected. I know that. They had high hopes, but it exceeded all their hopes. So it's definitely a commercial success.
And one thing about like Patrick Stewart said he would come out of retirement to be in a Deadpool movie, and that's it.
man, can you imagine this Wolverine, this Logan, and Deadpool like in the same movie?
Well, they're trying to
know.
like get them to do movies together. The two actors, and I guess they're constantly ribbing each other on Twitter. I guess at the premiere, Hugh Jackman posted a picture or something of the premiere, and then Ryan Reynolds tweeted some sort of like wise ass remark, and then Hugh Jackman. I think he responded like, "He's really guy," and that's like their thing. They're constantly going back and forth.
I think Hugh Jackman would be Wolverine again if he could do a movie with Deadpool.
He said that up until the release of this movie. Then apparently he changed his mind and he said he's done for good.
They say that right up until you backtrack. Dude, you back up that truck full of money. How many times have we heard actors say that?
Tony
and
Stark.
then, you know,
Yeah, I believe him though. I'm sure he likes being Wolverine, but he says he's not doing it anymore because he's
he's done it for the last 20 years.
17. But
Close. Come on,
He-
man.
he's-
Don't. Come on, no nitpicking on that.
he's been in what was it 9 or 10 of the X-Men movies. Deadpool was the only one he wasn't in.
But I want to say, well, come swirl, you made millions.
But like he
know?
said, he's getting older, and essentially it's coming down to he's just getting tired of bulking up that much for the fucking role.
I didn't think
That's
of
a
that.
lot of fucking work.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, one
Like-
of his interviews said like he has to find out when he's going to be shirtless, and then it's a 3-month journey to that shirtless scene, and then 2 days before he shoots the scene, he's drinking water like crazy, like 6 gallons a day or something of water, and then on that 48 hours before that scene, he stops and he just dehydrates himself so he can get fucking cut. And he's just like, that's what I have to do every single
But like
time.
to put on all that weight, he has to eat like 10 chickens a day and shit like
It's like
that.
fun waking up at 2 a.m. and eating a whole chicken.
Honestly, dude, his heart's probably the size of a goddamn melon.
I know for the Wolverine, he was working out with The Rock, and and The Rock helped him rebulk up for that role.
Yeah.
I don't think he was as ripped in Logan as he was
No,
for
he was
Wolverine.
more like old man strong.
Right.
Where like, although you could definitely see the dehydration when he's just changing his shirt and you can see the vein in his fucking forehead.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn, dude.
Well, that's the same thing with the Wolverine. I remember that it's like the famous shirtless scene from that movie where he's like, "Grrr!" And like you see all of his fucking veins.
Yeah, but
like,
see, I don't think he
it,
has
looked,
to
it,
be.
it looked like he didn't have any skin. It was just flesh-colored saran wrap.
But see,
Flesh-colored saran wrap. That's the name of it.
I'm sure there's a Tumblr on that somewhere. You know? But I don't think he has to be that ripped. He just has to be solid. You know, I mean,
I don't know what his natural state is. It's obviously not fat or anything like that, but even to get solid is a lot of consistent work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm just saying he doesn't have to be like in the Wolverine where it was like his muscles had muscles where he looked unnaturally like.
What was that
Fuck.
Twitter thing where he was holding like a CrossFit beam and he's like, if the bar ain't bending, you just pretending. Like that.
So, we'll give this a rating. How many Bucket of fuck.
Like, we didn't even need to ask. Let's name this episode Bucket of Fucks.
Every fuck within every bucket in a 100-mile radius was given on this movie.
Instant
true.
buy.
It's true.
Did you see the ADR scene that was posted online where he's watching the scene of him running through the woods and he's doing the ADR?
Yeah.
He's just like, in a room, like, yelling.
You're so used to doing an Arnold impression that you just went, I'm the Wolverine! Get to the mansion!
He should play Cable.
I'm Nathan Summers, and I'm here to terminate you.
Come with me if you want to live.
But Professor...
This movie was so good.
It was. This movie, there was love and care put into this movie. There was subtly put into this movie. There was feels. There was great cinematography. Like I said at the beginning, this was a film.
It was
this was a film and not just a movie.
Masterfully done.
It was.
That's what I would say. It was masterfully done.
Now, this is where the R rating is going to cost it a little bit, because you're not bringing kids to see this.
Right.
Don't bring your kids to see this movie because it is graphically violent.
He gets shot in the chest with a double-barrel shotgun or something like that in the first 3 minutes of the movie.
Right, but I mean, I'm more talking about the faces getting cut off and the limbs.
I meant that's like the scene.
Don't forget about the bachelor.
The little girl throws a head. Oh yeah, there was a boob in there, which I'm like,
wait, a boob?
Yeah, remember he's driving. Were you taking a leak at that point again?
Hold on, what was the boob? Tell me.
When he was like Uber driving, and it was like a bachelorette party.
Oh no, I
they're
saw
in the back,
that. Yeah.
and they're like, "Hey, driver!"
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, that's a little egregious. That's unnecessary in an X-Men movie.
Titties are never egregious. You can shut your hole.
Unless it's rogues, then get it out of here. We don't want to see it.
But this is where the rated R rating is going to hurt them, because it's such a beautiful movie. It's such a well done movie, but you can't bring the kids to see it. So
I'm gonna go see it again this weekend myself.
That's cool. I
support it.
I'm half tempted. But that's the only downside to the rated R, is that you automatically lose. I mean, if it was PG-13 and still this quality, you know, would it have broke 100 million? I think definitely.
Yeah,
because
that just
that many
third.
more. Yeah, exactly. But the rated R is what helps it. Not being chained down and restrained is what helps this movie. And it's not like the movie went crazy. It was graphically violent, but it was appropriate
for the character. And for the story, yes.
Yeah. The only thing I said to you on the way home, the only graphic violence that I thought wasn't appropriate for the movie, because it came from a character where it was just a side character. So as the Reavers are collecting all the children at the end, they're rounding them up. One of the little girl has like ice breath, and she like breathes onto the dude's arm and it freezes, and then she hits it and the arm shatters. But when the arm shatters, like a big squirt of blood and shit comes out of it. And that's the only scene of violence in the whole movie where I'm like, I don't think they needed to do that. Like the blood, if it's that frozen, you can hit that arm and it's gonna shatter like ice cubes because the blood inside is frozen.
But the rest of the arm isn't frozen.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
Wrong.
You're
wrong.
I'm just saying.
You're fake news. You're fake news, and you need to get out, Cuba.
No one respects gratuitous violence more than I do. Believe me.
That was the only scene of violence.
Sad.
Because it wasn't Wolverine. You know, I'm like, it's a little girl's ice breath. It's just. I'm not saying it was bad. Take it out of the movie.
Well, what about the part when the guy? I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, but used like their leaf powers or whatever the fuck it was, or telekinetic powers to like whip up all the dirt and pine needles and stuff, and just blew someone up.
Yeah, that was.
But it was cool.
It was cool. I concede my point. Never mind.
Like they were like, and then just fucking explode. It was like an old like Ninja Scrolls anime. Literally, like when somebody gets cut in half and they go, and they just like shred.
Yeah, go see this movie if you
Buy it on
haven't
Blu-ray.
seen this movie. I would imagine you have seen it because you're listening to this, and we've been talking about it for at least an hour.
Otherwise, how dare you?
And like I said, man, this great ending. I don't know where they're gonna go with it, other than the few rumors I've read. I want to see now what happens in between X-Men Apocalypse and Logan. Clearly, some significant shit happens. They could tell some good stories in that, and still have the X-Men in it, because like I said earlier, the X-Men don't die till a year before this movie. We don't know who are the X-Men at that point.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing a movie that happens in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like the very last scene is, say it has to do with like Logan. You know, maybe it's another Logan story. He's out doing his own thing. And then in the very end, he gets back to the mansion and everyone's fucking dead and Xavier's just there having it, you know, fucking shaking or something like that. And that obviously will lead you a year later into Logan. Something. I don't know. But fucking masterfully done.
It was definitely one of the best movies I've seen in a while.
Yep. A+ is across the board.
Indeed. So, man, I got nothing else to say about those.
Those
Closing thoughts? Anybody on Logan, the X-Men franchise itself?
I got to go back and watch the first two movies. Shit on the third, and then watch First Class and Days of Future Past.
Yeah, First Class and Days of Future Past are both really good.
Now, does that keep the events of the first two movies intact?
Well, Future Past changes everything. But X-Men First Class, yes, it would keep the events, because it takes place in 1962.
Yeah, but it keeps the events of the first two movies the same, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't something wipe out Last Stand?
That's in Future Past.
Okay.
Essentially, the first three movies get wiped out by the events of that movie. Like I said, it's more confirmed after I watched Apocalypse, because the end of Apocalypse automatically changes the events of those first 2 to 3 movies. So, but that's the thing with the X-Men franchise, that they're making it a shared universe, but it's a mess. But I'll give them credit, because it's an entertaining mess, and they're working on it. DC can't get their head out of their own
Deadpool
fucking ass.
addresses it. Because you haven't seen that, where he's just like, Stewart or McAvoy, these universes are so confusing. Like, we're bringing you to the professor.
And that's a good scene in Days of Future Past, where young Professor X is like psychically communicating with old Professor X. It's like, that was fucking cool. Like that was cool. That was another movie where like I said, the detail was in it, and the subtlety of this is. But with the exception of the future scenes where there's future Sentinels and it's all apocalyptic, the scenes that took place in the 70s are very grounded and down to earth. It's very cool shit, and like I said, attention to detail, because when Wolverine goes back into his mind, gets sent back into his younger self in the 70s, he hasn't gone through the Weapon X program yet. So when he goes to use his claws, they're bone claws, and he looks at them like, ah. So that was a cool touch I remember from that. Yeah,
that's about it.
That's been the X episode.
Nice.
That's all, folks.
I can't think of anything else. I mean, I'm just gonna be rambling about X-Men and then get pissed off about certain other things about X-Men if we continue this, and we're already going on a little longer than we normally do.
What episode number is this?
This is 24.
Call it X24.
Oh shit, son!
Too bad it wasn't.
And end it with the cartoon intro.
Ba-na-na-na-na-na. Ba-na-na-na-na-na.